Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast, episode 89. I had to double check on that one. How's it going? It's been a week, weird week, but I'm here doing the podcast like I like to do. So that takes my mind off things for a little while, makes it a better week. I got all my prep done. I'm happy. I'm home. I'm not out of town like last week. That sucked. But the Watch Party podcast was fun. At least I got to be home for that. That was Saturday night. If you didn't catch it, go check it out. There was some funny moments. We had a good time. My buddy Marshall, who I've been friends with since 6th grade, showed up and joined in. That was a good time. It's always good to have Marshall around. He's not as crazy as the rest of us, but he enjoyed himself, so it was good to have him here. And then Clark, of course, was here. He's always down, so it was fun to have him back. We had a good time. So got a couple good clips out of it. So I posted one on TikTok. So if you want to go check out my TikTok, you'll see it right there. All my social media, actually. Posted it everywhere except for Twitter/X because I don't post that much there. I gotta find a way to make that better. I'm not on that app as much, so I don't know. It's kind of a toxic place. So I'm there though. I do have an account for the podcast. So sooner or later I will start jumping back in. But for now it's mostly Facebook, Instagram, and then sometimes TikTok. And there's the TikTok right there. So go check it out because the last clip was good. It was us, the live reaction to the Dustin Poirier fight, which so happened to be the best fight of the night, I think. And it was fun. It was a good time. And it was a great fight. So go check it out. And don't forget to like and subscribe here on my YouTube channel to help me grow the channel because, well, I always got to ask because it helps. Every little bit helps. So, if you're watching, hit that little thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, do that as well. And share it with somebody. I always post on Facebook later with a link and stuff. So if you want an easier way to share that with someone, go check out my social media. Pretty much within the hour, I have it posted. And I usually have the audio posted as well within the hour of ending. So if you like to listen to audio only, you can do that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts, really. So go check that out, too, if you want to listen while you work or mess around or whatever. I listen to podcasts all the time, all day. I probably am going to have problems with this ear because I have an earbud in at all times, except for now because I just have headphones on. So, yeah, go check that all out and take a sip. First sip of the night. All right, so this week we will be going over, of course, UFC 299, like I said. It was a pretty big event. I would say some of the fights kind of disappointed a bit, but for the most part, I feel like it was a pretty damn good card all the way around. And, yeah, it delivered. The main card delivered for sure. There's only one fight on there I was a bit disappointed on, and we'll touch on that in a little bit. We also had the Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua fight this past weekend. So there was that. That one didn't end up so great for who I was favoring. So we'll get into that first thing once we jump in. And then let's see what else. Not a whole lot else going on. We just got past, the couple of fight nights leading up to the big UFC 299, which was like the real big pay-per-view card that everyone was talking about and waiting for. And then so now we're less than a month. We're about a month out from UFC 300, which I have a dilemma with that one. I'm going to have to work that out. But yeah, I'll talk about that later. 300 is just over a month away, actually, because, just over a month. So that's a big event. That's a big card. Judging by the 299 card, so I'm kind of thinking that 300 is probably going to surpass what that did. And everyone was talking about including me. Don't get me wrong, including me. I'll fess up to that. I thought 299 was possibly going to be better than 300, but I did start winding that back a little bit as we got closer to 299. And the reason for that is because I started looking a little deeper into it, and I was like, you know what? The lower part of the card, say early prelims. Let's start there. Early prelims, we had Joanne Wood versus Marina Moroz, which that's a good fight. It was a good fight overall. It came through. It was decent. Some other stuff happened there. But then the next few fights were whatever, and then we got into some more names, right? So that's how 299 went. Well, 300, we're starting the fucking card off with Cody Garbrandt versus Davison Figueiredo. Like, what? What? That's what we're doing? So, yeah. If you have been watching fighting for a couple years at least, or more, you're gonna know almost everybody on this goddamn card for UFC 300. So, in the end, UFC 300 is supposed to be bigger than everything, and I think that people downgraded it a little bit because the main event isn't what they expected. Conor McGregor didn't show up on the card, and all this other shit, you know? But when it comes down to it, for me, being the fan that I am, I was looking forward to it anyway because it's another UFC event. There's a lot of good fights on it, but damn. The prelims from the bottom to the top, I'm talking, I know every fighter. It's not just someone that I'm like, I casually know them here and there. They're on the come up, so I got my eye on them, but not really paying attention. No. These are all fighters that I've covered extensively. I've paid attention to completely, and I have knowledge up here on. So that makes a whole difference for the card. And, you know, everyone's talking about, everyone's running it back now, saying that 299 wasn't that great. And that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying, in the end, when I really, really think about it, 300 is the epitome of a stacked card from the bottom to the top. There's not even one questionable one in there. Everyone belongs on that card. And whether or not you agree with the main event is going to be the biggest point of contention, I guess. And that's fine. Everyone can have their opinion. No big deal. But it is what it is. And when it comes down to it, it's going to be a great event, I think, and that's where my dilemma comes in. So, but yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot else I need to talk about. I guess I can touch on when I was talking to the guys on the Technically Unsound podcast on Tuesday. We go live Sundays and Tuesday nights, 7 p.m. Arizona time. Check it out if you want to hear me talk about technical stuff. Kind of behind the scenes podcasting stuff. We go over current events, things happening in pop culture, movies, TVs, all kinds of shit. So if you want to hear me go on and on and on about some other shit other than MMA, go check out that podcast as well. Technically Unsound Podcast on YouTube. That's the channel. If you go to technicallyunsound.com, technicallyunsoundpodcast.com, one of those two. It'll lead you straight there as well. So, enough with the promotion. What I was saying was I was talking to the guys and I'm like, I really need to get into doing more content for social media. Maybe more promo videos, like talking about going live soon. Maybe I need to do a video before. I had full intentions of doing that today, but what happened? Nothing really happened. I just slacked. And that's what I got to get better on. I got to pay more attention. I got to make the time. I got to stop acting like I don't have the time. I have enough time to make like a 5-minute video. I don't need to edit it. I don't need to do any of that shit. I just need to get it out there, and I need to start doing that. I had some inspiration by watching some other YouTube videos and other content creators, and it's weird that I would even call myself that. But I guess that's what I do because I'm creating content right now. I mean, the podcast, it's a video on YouTube. And I mean, you can listen to it everywhere. And sometimes I get clips from my social media out of it. That's the other thing. I need to be making more clips too. So, but that's just some behind the scenes podcast stuff that I think about and talk about with the guys and Technically Unsound Podcast. Go check it out. And yeah, we are actively just trying to maybe fill a spot in there too, but I think Tommy might have that figured out. Maybe not. I don't know. We're always going back and forth on it. There's 3 of us on there right now. There used to be 4. At one point, there was up to 5. But everyone's kind of in and out. So the 3 of us are on there at all times. Me, Tommy, Magix. If you watched any of the past watch parties, they've been on most of them. So yeah, go check it out. And I think that's about it. So what I'm saying is I'm saying it out loud here on the podcast to kind of hold myself accountable and be like, don't make yourself a liar, stupid. I need to make more content on social media. That's what I need to do. So I'm trying to find ways to hold myself accountable to do that. And this is one way I'm going to do it, is by saying it on here. So that way, maybe when one of you that knows me, sees me, is like, where's the content, fucker? You said you were going to start making more, and you haven't done it. And then I'll be like, shit, you're right. Life gets in the way sometimes. I don't want to be glued to my phone in the way that I'm constantly recording and doing stuff like that, but I could definitely make a better effort, so I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's about it for everything else going on. So let's just get into combat sports news and get started with the crazy Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua fight. And disappointment for me, but at the same time, it is what it is. I did get to watch the main event, this fight, Joshua versus Ngannou. I watched it from start to end. Just that fight. I didn't watch anything else. Nothing else on the card. And speaking of making content, I actually was very tempted to make a video about it right after it happened, but I was waiting to go in to have dinner with the family and stuff, so I chose not to. That was dumb. I could have taken 5 minutes and done it because we were waiting on a table. So this is me just blurting it all out because I got to find a way to get myself to do it. And I got to do it. So anyway, what happened here, if you didn't see, if you don't know by now, if you follow all my social media, you know by now, but Francis Ngannou got knocked the fuck out. And I hate to say it that way. It's mad disrespectful, but it is the truth. He got knocked the fuck out. Out cold, knocked out. I will show you full proof in just a minute. But oh man, it was disappointing. I was hoping, I said it last week. I was hoping for the MMA representation in boxing to be elevated with Francis Ngannou, and I think it has been. That fight against Tyson Fury, now that he lost against Anthony Joshua and he's 0-2 in boxing, he got knocked out cold. All of that just shows and proves what other people were talking mad shit about, which was he didn't belong in there, not fighting against the high level elite boxers like Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. But it is what it is. Oh, and then of course the excuses. Oh, Tyson Fury didn't take him seriously, overlooked him, didn't train right, didn't train at all. All of that could be true, but maybe it isn't. Maybe Tyson Fury is sloppy sometimes, and this might be one of those times that he was just sloppy. And judging by the look on his face when, which I should have grabbed those pictures and I didn't, and I feel like a moron for it, and it just clicked in my head. But when Tyson Fury watched Francis Ngannou get knocked out by Anthony Joshua, he was like, oh fuck, because I think he realized I've been taking Joshua lightly too. I haven't been impressed by him lately. And then the guy that knocked me down and I couldn't knock down or knock out or finish of any manner except for getting a decision win over him, and he just knocked him out cold. So usually they say in sports, if the person you beat or if the person you lose to continues on and has a great success and keeps winning and all this other shit, it makes you look okay. You don't look so bad. But if they go on to just continuously lose over and over and over again, it makes you look bad because they're like, damn, you lost to him too, and look, he lost to everybody else. So yeah, so that's what Tyson is thinking. Like, shit, I beat him, but not by much. And then this is what Joshua does. Like, damn, that's what I should have done. So it's just one of those things. If you watch the fight, hit me up in the chat. It's open. Tell me what you thought of it. Tell me what you think should happen from here with Francis Ngannou. Should he continue in boxing? Should he just go back to MMA? Should he maybe take a break from boxing for a little bit and go back to MMA, fight 1 or 2 fights, and then maybe have another boxing match down the road? You know, sharpen those skills a little more. That'll probably help him in MMA too, even though he's starched people left and right at MMA. So, but you know, the practice is always good. The sharpening of the tools is always good. So, what should he do? If you guys have any suggestions, if you guys have any thoughts on it, go ahead and throw those in the chat and we'll discuss them. For now, I'll keep going. If you're watching this later, comment still, because you know, I go live all the time and the chat's live with me. So but if you watch it later, just comment anyway, and we can still discuss it, and maybe I'll just bring up those comments next time, or I'll just comment back. Who knows? Either way, just comment if you want to. But yeah, this is, you know, Francis started off and he looked all right. He looked ready. He looked like he was confident stepping in there, you know, after the way that the Tyson Fury fight went down. He may have lost that fight, but he definitely showed and proved that he belonged in there with him. A lot of people think that Ngannou won that fight, actually. So, but the boxing world's not going to let him win a decision fight that was close over Tyson Fury, of all people. Maybe if it was a lower level competitor, they might have went ahead and gave it to him, but the boxing world's not going to let that happen. So he did lose, but it was by a narrow margin, and he did knock down Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury didn't even knock him down, but he still got the win. So that's just a quick recap of the last fight. But this one comes out there, you know, tries to get in there and figure things out right away. But man, it didn't last long. The first round, you know what? We'll just jump right to the second round, and then I'll go back, because here's the knockout. Bam. Big overhand right. Francis doesn't look bad when he's walking in, but if you watch the fight, you know what happened right before this. That's a nasty knockout. Out cold. And I'm not going to show it for too long so I don't get a copyright. But yeah, this is Francis going down, I believe, in the first round, actually. So he did get knocked down in the first round, and I think it was in the last, like, you know, last couple minutes of the first round. He gets caught, gets put on his ass, but he looks all right. You know, he's like, ah, shit, I got caught. Damn. Maybe he's thinking, oh shit, there's a little bit of power behind that I wasn't expecting. He's not used to getting knocked down. That doesn't happen to him in MMA, and it hasn't happened to him since he started boxing. At least not in a match, which he's only had one. But, you know, he didn't get knocked down by Tyson Fury, who everyone said was going to wreck him. So this is, of course, going to be one of those things that he is super surprised by, and it happened. So that, yeah. So he gets knocked down in the first, put on his ass, comes back, finishes the first round. We get to the second round, and he gets knocked down again. And right here, I think he got hit harder than the first round, and he got knocked down hard, and you can see it in his eyes. He's dazed. He's confused. He doesn't know, like, oh shit, am I gonna be okay? He's probably trying to shake it off right now, you know, get those cobwebs out of there and collect himself. And he gets up. He makes this the 8 count. He gets up. He just sets back up in there, says he's ready. The ref, you know, tests his hands like they normally do, and he gets in there. But then this happens. Not like I would say 5 seconds later, if that. 5 seconds later. I mean, their first exchange to get in there, Francis goes forward, AJ goes forward, and then he comes in with this overhand right. Pow. Knocks him the fuck out. Out cold, on the ground. It's a goddamn shame to see Francis Ngannou on his back, out cold. Damn. It sucked, man. It sucked seeing it. After he got hit that second time, or I should say got knocked down that second time, I was like, fuck. You know, the first time brings you down a level. It's like, okay, maybe I was a little too confident. Dude hits hard. I just got knocked on my ass, but I'm okay. Be a little more careful. Did he say that to himself? Maybe, maybe not. Comes back in the second round because shortly after that first round knockdown, the first round was over. Comes back, gets knocked down again in the second round, recklessly comes in, gets knocked the fuck out. And Anthony Joshua gets the win. You can see the disappointment on Francis's face. I mean, he was out for a minute, and then they woke him up with oxygen. Like, he woke up with an oxygen mask on his face. He sat there for a few minutes with oxygen. It was a sad scene. And, you know, of course, the haters are like, this is what these fucking MMA fighters get. This is what they get. They think they're going to come in here and box with the highest level of boxer. Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I know what you're saying. I get it. But I had hope. And I was, you know, I was hoping for the best. And instead, we got the worst possible outcome. It wasn't that long of a fight. He gets knocked out early. And unfortunately, he gets knocked out cold. And that's a damn shame. But Anthony Joshua is a beast. And regardless of what he's done against other high-level boxers, like getting knocked down by Helenius, who people thought was a fluke, and that should have not have happened with the level that Joshua's at. You know, these guys, they exchange their heavyweights. It happens. But, you know, and then Joshua gets knocked out by Ruiz and loses his title and all that stuff. And, you know, everyone thought Joshua's on the downswing. He's never going to get these big fights. But he did. And he will. Because this was a big deal. Regardless of what anybody thinks, after the Tyson Fury fight, for him to knock out Francis like this means that makes that Tyson Fury fight a bit more interesting. So I'm assuming that's gonna come up after the result of the Fury Usyk fight. I'm sure they're gonna try to match whoever wins that with Joshua. But I mean, that's not for another few months, couple months. I don't remember. I think it might be in May. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what happens. But for now, what does Francis Ngannou do? Should he drop boxing, just get back into MMA? I mean, he's made a lot of fucking money. That's 40 mil between the two fights. And we're not talking like, oh, he lost both fights. He could have made 80 mil like in the UFC. No. 20 mil outright. Plus, I'm sure he got pay-per-view points. At least he was supposed to. With the first fight, and I don't know, I never really heard much about the second one, but when it comes down to it, yeah, he made the money. So should he just sit on that and continue fighting in MMA and just forget about boxing? Anthony Joshua doesn't think so. He told him not to quit. He told him after the fight, straight up in front of cameras, don't quit, bro. Stay here. Keep doing it. He sees the talent in him. So is that what he's going to do? I don't know. But as for now, he's supposedly set up to fight in the PFL for his next fight in MMA against Fajeda, who just won like few seconds into the first round knockout for the PFL. So against Ryan Bader, of all people, too. I think it was like 20 seconds in and he knocks him out. So that should be the next fight for Francis, unless something else comes up. Either way, I think he needs to rest a little bit after that KO. That's the first time he's been KO'd like that. And I think he needs a little bit of time, collect himself, recover, and really get his head together and get back in the game. So I'll be anxiously awaiting to see what his next move is. I'm not that down on Francis. I am disappointed that happened. Just for the MMA side of everything, because it'd be nice to see someone get some success in there. But, you know, boxing is the truth. Whether, you know, it doesn't prove anything except for boxing is not dead, like a lot of people say. I've said it myself even. At some points it did seem like it was. But it's still the sweet science, and I ate my words. And that's okay. I'm all right with being wrong sometimes. So far, no one's been able to really get in there and show and prove anything. Yeah, Conor fought Floyd, but still, that's an older Floyd and whatever. So there still hasn't been anyone to have success, real success in there against a high-level boxer. Will there be more? I don't know. We'll wait and see. But continuing on the boxing tip, an announcement was made yesterday Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, a rematch, but this time in boxing. It will be a professional boxing match. Of course, Nate Diaz is 0-1 in pro boxing because he took that fight against Jake Paul and lost. Didn't get finished or anything, but he did get knocked down a couple times, and he lost that fight. And he didn't look good. So, I mean, what was the deal with that? I don't know. But still one of my favorite fighters ever. I'm still Diaz Army. I'm still a fan. I don't care. But now he's fighting Jorge Masvidal in a professional boxing match on Saturday, June 1st. It is a pay-per-view. Where it's happening, apparently it's going to be in California, because when they fought in MMA, it was in Miami. And Gamebred got that win in MMA. So we'll see what happens here in boxing. It's interesting. I hope that this time Diaz comes out looking like the boxer everyone thought he was always. He spars professional boxers a lot, and they all speak highly of him. So let's hope that he improves what he can do this time against somebody of a similar caliber type fighter, I guess you could say. So, you know, of course, this is a ways away, and I'll be interested to see how the card fills up, how it plays out, and yeah, I mean, see what kind of clout and what kind of drama happens. There's already been, you know, internet stuff happening. Masvidal posting about being in Stockton, going to their gym, and nobody was there, and all this other shit. So, of course, Gamebred's getting it going. Nate Diaz usually just chills in the cut and waits for his time to really come out and fucking get the upper hand. So I'm waiting to see what happens next. But that does it for boxing. Last piece of combat sports news: Joanna Jedrzejczyk was present at the UFC 299 event in the building. She had no idea why she was there. She thought she was just watching the fights, you know, being a guest fighter like always, you know, even though she's not a fighter anymore, but you know what I mean. But instead she got surprised with a Hall of Fame induction. So they announced that she will be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. In the modern wing, you know, she is retired. She was a strawweight champion for a couple years. She had a good reign. Scary person when she was on top. And scary moments for her as well. Getting beat by Weili Zhang. That first fight between them, it was a fucking war. It was crazy. And if you didn't see it, go check it out, because you know, Jacek had, her entire head was swollen to the point where it looked like she was an alien. I'm talking like forehead swollen forward, sides of the head swollen outward. The top of her head just was like, I don't even know how to describe it. You're gonna have to go check it out. Go look it up. Weili Zhang Weili, however you want to say it, versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk. I believe it was the first fight between them two. Yeah, that was an insane fight. And the outcome, you know, she didn't get finished. She got beat the fuck up, and her head was ridiculously swollen. And I guarantee that had partially had something to do with her retiring, because she said on the MMA Hour this past week, she was a guest, of course, talking about, you know, becoming or getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, and she talked about the fact that she thought about coming back. She's talked about it since like a day after she retired, that she wanted to come back and she was going to make a comeback, and her friends and family begged her not to fight anymore. And I guarantee it's because seeing someone have that happen to them like it happened to her, it's almost more scary than getting knocked out cold and being knocked out for a few minutes. So I've never seen anything like it. It's insane. Go check it out. You'll know what I'm talking about. But congratulations to Joanna. She's been one of my favorite female fighters, maybe favorite fighters overall for a long time. When she was on top, I loved it. I mean, some of the stuff she did was a bit cringe, but and then she fought Rose Namajunas, who beat her, but you know, at the same time, she fought a lot of people I liked, but I was always a fan. And yeah, she was a great fighter, and I'm glad she's getting into the Hall of Fame. So congrats to JJ. And yeah, that'll be happening at the end of June during International Fight Week. That's when she'll be officially inducted into the Hall of Fame. Moving on with UFC 299. Let's get into this recap. Sean O'Malley versus chitovera Part 2. This was the rematch after Chito beat Sean with the leg kick, basically, because it hit that nerve. Sean gets drop foot, can't stand, gets finished. TKO loss, unfortunately for him, but it happened, and he denies it still, and he thinks that this win erased it, even if he didn't believe it was a loss in the first place, but he still has a loss on his record. So, and I only harp on that because I hate when guys do that. It is what it is. You have a loss. Who cares? I mean, why put that pressure on yourself thinking you're undefeated? Maybe it just gets to him so bad that he did have one defeat. But, that's the way it rolls. And Sean is one of those guys. He will play that part, and he sticks the fuck to it. He will not drop it. He will not let it go. He even said the Sugar State Athletic Commission overturned that win for Chito, and that means he called it a no contest. That means he has not ever lost. So he's making shit up in his own head. It's clever, it's funny, but sometimes it gets to be a bit much. And it would be nice for him to just say, listen, okay, it is what it is. It was out of my hands. He hit that nerve. Fair game to him. It's over. It's in the past, and I'm the champ now. Look what happened. He's the champ, regardless of what happened, regardless of the loss. Anyway, co-main event, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis. Best fight of the fucking night for sure. I was hyped. I screamed into the mic a couple times. I apologized a few times for it, but it was a fun time, and I enjoyed myself, and I loved that fight. It was great. And Dustin Poirier is a fucking dog, and yeah, there's just, you can't bet against the guy, man, because even when he loses, he's still in a dog fight, and he makes it a war, and he's just a badass. And people are talking about him being older now, and he's gonna be on the downswing, but it's not looking like it with this fight. So of course we'll get into both of those in just a few minutes, but let's take a look at the prelim card. Let's see, I'll skip the first fight of the night because I am going to cover that a little bit more in depth, which was Joanne Wood versus Marina Moroz. But the fight after that, Asu Almabiev versus CJ Vergara. Vergara lost by unanimous decision, and he had trouble making weight, so that was a 127-pound catch weight fight. This is makes multiple times of him missing weight, so that's not good for him. And then he follows up with a loss. Let's see, Robelis Despenge. Oh man, it's hard to say his name. Fucking impressive TKO win over Josh Parisian in the heavyweight division. 18 seconds into the first round. A lot of hype around this guy, and he followed through, and he came up with a fantastic win. It was entertaining, and it was enjoyable. And, he looked a little sloppy, just winging big punches and shit, but when it comes down to it, those heavyweight guys that are at the tippy top of the weight division, 265, probably has to cut weight to get there, and he came through with a big fucking win. So good for him. I'll be excited to see what kind of competition he gets next and how they, roll him out, and see if he sharpens up those skills a bit, because if he fights no one knows how he is on the ground really, because it doesn't seem like he goes there much. So we'll see what he has to offer in the near future, because I'm sure he'll fight soon. Michelle Pereira versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. That was a technical submission, rear naked choke for Pereira. That was in the first round. He came out like a fucking animal, and Oleksiejczuk was there for it, and then until he wasn't. And he got choked the fuck out after getting beat up a little bit. But Pereira, that puts him on, I believe, a 7-fight win streak. Let me double check, because I was baffled when I covered this last week and how many fights he had in a row, the streak he was on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, So this makes 7 in a row. His last 2 fights were ended in the first round, one by rear naked choke, one by TKO. Before that, he had a few decisions. Actually, the rest were decisions except for one, which he won by rear naked choke as well. Either way, putting together a 7-fight win streak, that's fucking impressive. He was losing a bit before that. Like, you know, he shouldn't have been losing. He was just acting a fool. He does crazy shit, but he's entertaining. So that was an impressive win there. And then you had Felipe Lins versus Ian Cutelaba in the light heavyweight division. Ian Cutelaba gets a loss by unanimous decision. Felipe Lins proven to be the better fighter that night. He is the older fighter, so a lot of people were downing on him with that because Ian Cutelaba's, he can be a beast, but he dropped this one, unfortunately for him. And then we move on to Kyler Phillips versus Pedro Munoz. That was a war. That was an impressive fight. It was entertaining as well. But Kyler Phillips, being the younger fighter, just overtook Munoz, and you know, he did work, and he came out with that unanimous decision win in the bantamweight division. Then we had Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos in the lightweight division. Gamrot just I mean, maybe not fully dominated, but he definitely had an impressive win over Dos Anjos, a former UFC champion. And, you know, Gamrot's the truth for sure. The younger fighter coming up beats the older vet. And shit, that's the kind of things that a good career is made off of. So that was probably one of his biggest fights to date. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, Fiziev, Jalen Turner, Beneil Dariush, those are the bigger names that he had fought before, but none of them are as big as Rafael dos Anjos. And he comes out with the win, and he looked good. So good for him. Upwards for him. Dos Anjos, not sure, because that marks his second loss in a row, and in his last 4 fights he's 1-3. So that's tough, man, especially with his age and what he's been through in the sport and in this organization. You know, he needs to put together, or at least get 1 win and try to put together a couple wins in a row or something. We'll see what he winds up doing with that, because, you know, these guys start losing a couple fights in a row, being the age that he's at and stuff. Who knows? They might decide to maybe call it quits soon. I'm not sure, but I mean, he still looks damn good for his age and the amount of wars and the amount of time he's been in the game, man. Like, Dos Anjos is still a legend. So he lost this one though, so that's unfortunate for him. But Gamrot gets the win, a big win for him. And then the next fight was Macy Barber versus Caitlin Sermonara, formerly Chukagian. Macy Barber looking impressive as usual. Once again gets a unanimous decision win in the flyweight division over Caitlin Sermonara. I keep having to make sure I say that correctly, because I'm not used to saying that name for her. Chukagian was weird enough, or hard enough, but anyway, Macy Barber, this makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is her 6th fight in a row with a win. All of them except for one being decision, which, you know, it is what it is. But I will say that, I mean, Macy Barber always puts up a damn good fight and makes it entertaining, regardless of who she's fighting. So, you know, it's always worth watching her fight, even though they almost always go to decision. But yeah, so there's only one other fight in the prelims, and I will cover that in a minute, because I want to head back down to the first fight of the night. Joanne Wood versus Marina Moroz was the first fight of the night overall in the early prelims. Like I said, Joanne Wood gets a split decision win over Marina Moroz. But, you know, she looked pretty impressive. The first round was not great for her, but she came back in the second round, looked better. And in the third round, winds up, you know, landing some good punches, some good combinations, and this spinning back fist that almost took Marina Moroz out. Stumbled her. She didn't go down, but she definitely fell back against the cage and was dazed. JoJo tried to follow up with a flying knee, but she missed it. And, she tried her best. It was in the last minute and a half or so of the round. She tried to finish that fight. Marina Moroz is tough as hell and was able to recover enough to hang on and not get finished in that fight. But Joanne Wood comes out with the split decision win. Well deserved. She fought well in those last 2 rounds, even though she looked like she was not going to do well after that first round. But after everything was said and done, JoJo decides to retire. She actually had made that decision before the fight started, so it was good to see her go out and win. A quote from her from the from MMA fighting. Let's see. She said, "This career has brought me to where I'm at right now, and I couldn't be happier. Even if I went out on a loss, it doesn't change my life outside of the octagon. It was perfect. It was a cherry on top. Going out on a win. It wouldn't have mattered if I lost because I'm winning in life right now." And she's married to God damn it, I forgot his first name. His last name is Wood though. What the hell's his first name? I just had it in my head. But he's a well-known MMA trainer and coach. He's comes out of Extreme Couture in Vegas. She wound up marrying him, and it's been okay for her career, and she does a lot with the gym. She's a stepmother to his child as well, which she seems to love doing, and that's what she's looking forward to. And then also being a big part of the gym with her husband. I can't think of his name. I feel bad. I could always spout his name out of nowhere anytime. John Wood, maybe. I think maybe. I don't know. Who cares? But yeah, so congrats to JoJo on her retirement, on her win. I'm glad she went out on a win. She's one of those girls that I followed since, I heard of her from the first point, and I think she was on The Ultimate Fighter maybe at one point. I don't remember. Either way, I followed her from early in her career, and she always has she has this really soft kind of sweet voice, and it's weird because you don't think that she'd be a fighter listening to her talk. And she has an accent, of course, because she's from the UK or something. No, Scotland. She's yeah, something like that. But shit, I don't remember. I should know by the flag, and I don't. That's okay. Anyway, I followed her for a long time. It was tough to watch her go because she's just a nice person overall, and watching her get emotional and stuff. But I'm happy for her for going out on a win. So congrats to JoJo. That marks the second retirement of the year, actually back to back, because last event, UFC Fight Night, last couple weeks ago, Tyson Pedro retired as well. So, we're starting off with the retirements early this year. So good luck to them on their future ventures, and thanks for all the good fights, JoJo, and congrats. So the last fight in the prelims was Curtis Blaydes versus Jailton Almeida, and this is how it finished. I cannot believe the amount of punches that Curtis Blaydes put to the side of Jailton Almeida's head. It was insane. He had him down here, as you can tell, right in the middle of it, just started hammer fisting the fuck out of the side of his head. And, these heavyweights hit hard. Sometimes one hit will take your ass out. But taking this many hits from Curtis Blaydes while he's in a dominant position. Jailton Almeida is a ground fighter. He's a great submission artist and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu player. But he needs to start working some other stuff in, because I don't know why he grabbed the leg of Curtis Blaydes and just held it and tried to take him down from there. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? After you get hit once or twice in the side of the fucking head, you got to be dazed. And if you don't even try to advance your position or at least defend yourself better, you're going to continue to get hit there. Yeah, sure, you don't have to get up, but let go of the fucking leg and cover up, man. What are you doing? 25 fucking punches later, you're out on the mat, and the side of your head's gonna be this big when you're, wake up the next morning. What the fuck are you doing? Curtis Blaydes is a beast, and he's a great wrestler, and that's his bread and butter is wrestling. And he's got good takedown defense and good takedowns, and a lot of people, criticize him for being boring with the kind of lay and pray style. But when he gets a hold of you and he gets hits on you, they're no joke, and they're nothing to fuck with. So these hammer fists, I've seen it before. Someone tries to grab a leg, leaves the side of their head open, 17 punches later to the temple, you're gonna go out. Or you're gonna be so dazed that then you're gonna get up and get knocked the fuck out. So the best thing to do, let go of the fucking leg and cover up, man. Defense, what are you doing? Advanced position, something. Like, shit, why are you gonna sit there and let that happen? I don't get it. It's weird, because Jailton Almeida is a damn good fighter. He's been impressive in the past, but a little boring in his past couple fights. So, you know, that's the issue with that. But in the end, Curtis Blaydes gets the TKO win over Jailton Almeida, or KO win over Jailton Almeida in 36 seconds into the second round. So yeah, there's that. And that was a hell of a way to go into the main card, because that was the last prelim fight of the night. Then we get to the main card, and we have Peter Yan versus Song Yadong starting off the main card. You know, Peter Yan is on a 3-fight losing skid. He needs a win. Song Yadong comes out just looking fresh, looking ready to go, and fast as fuck, boy. He's fucking so fast. It's insane. I'm sitting there thinking, I forgot how fast this dude is. Holy shit. Just letting off strikes left and right. I mean, light speed. It's crazy. He's so fast. And I mean, the lower weight guys are fast always, but Song Yadong was just impressive. So let's see, I just saw something I did not like. Hopefully nothing is happening to the stream. I think we're good, but I just saw some frames dropped and stuff. I didn't like that. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so Peter Yan versus Song Yadong. And you know, Peter Yan came out. He's quick too, but it was like, how is he gonna bounce back after these 3 losses in a row? How down on his, you know, is he on himself? Is he coming out confident, cautious? What's gonna happen, you know? And against a good fighter like Song Yadong, you never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, he did work, and even though Song put up a good fight, and he did land on Peter, and you know, he had his moments in the fight as well. But overall, Peter Yan wins a unanimous decision over Song Yadong, and yeah, he winds up getting back in the win column. That puts Song Yadong on, let's see, I gotta see what his last fight before. Oh yeah, he was on a 2-fight winning streak. So that breaks that, and he gets the loss against Peter Yan. So then we move on to Jack Della Maddalena versus Gilbert Burns. Oops, I went too far. There we go. But yeah, I mean, I had bet on Gilbert Burns, and I was thinking, shit, he's the underdog. Like, I'm hoping, you know, the underdog, the vet, I'm hoping that he comes out looking like Gilbert of old, which wasn't that long ago. I mean, it's like every other fight he comes out just with something to prove. And he's always a tough opponent, but Jack Della just, I mean, he just did work. It didn't happen till the 3rd round, but he did get the best of Gilbert Burns. And it was tough to see, because Gilbert has a great chin, and when it comes down to it, he's just an overall great fighter. And oh man, this is what happened in the 3rd round. You know, he's trying to get position here. JDM gets a nice reversal, and they wind up on their feet. And as Burns is getting up, he gets that flying knee to the dome. That was tough to watch, and that was a nasty fucking knee. Oh shit, there we go. So yeah, and then so he catches that knee straight to the dome, puts him out, and he winds up on his back. Jack Della goes in for the finish. Why is my shit not working? There we go. Follows up with some punches on the ground and puts out Gilbert Burns. Man, that was tough to watch. It kind of sucked. Gilbert was all bloodied up, and yeah, he was out. So that's a tough loss for him in the third round. He was putting up a decent fight, but JDM just came out with the quickness. That knee was well timed, and it was good. It was a good fight IQ decision on JDM's part to come out of that bit of a scramble that they had, and to think to just time that knee correctly. And, during the watch party, I was like, hold on, was that illegal? Because fucking from the angle they showed us, which was not the same angle of the clip I just showed you, but the angle that we saw in real time during the fight on the broadcast, it looked to me like Gilbert may not have had his knee all the way off, but then they showed us a different angle and for the replay, and it was obvious and apparent that he was good. He got all the way up, and JDM just timed it right and landed that knee flush to the face and on the chin and knocked out Gilbert Burns, as you could see here. It's a sad thing to see, but it's impressive on JDM's part, considering this was one of his biggest tests of his career so far, or the biggest test probably. But he didn't come out unscathed. He did wind up breaking his arm. It says arm snapped clean early in the fight, rallied for a finish in the third. Soldier. P.S. Gilbert kicks hard. So, yeah, I mean, he broke his arm with probably just defending a kick. So that's crazy that he was able to get through the entire fight and finish it. Probably makes more sense now why he threw a knee. I'm not sure if it looks like it's probably his left arm. So, yeah. But damn, that's crazy. Broken arm, completely snapped, and shit, he winds up sticking in there and getting the win. So good on him. JDM's no joke, man. So, in the future, I'm going to be a little weary of betting against him. I just thought maybe Gilbert Burns was a bit too much of a, opponent for him at the moment. But he proved me wrong. So there it is. But, moving past that, we had what I thought was going to be definitely, if not one of the fight of the night. Michael Venom Page making his debut in the UFC, coming over from Bellator, where he's done big things over there. And, just didn't seem to have the same level of competition that you would get in the UFC. But he's fighting Kevin Holland, and Kevin Holland is a beast, and he's definitely a tough opponent. He talks a lot of shit in there. He does a lot of crazy antics and stuff, but this time, he is kind of a streaky, like up and down type fighter. I've seen him lose fights that he should have won and win fights that he should have lost. So, and in impressive fashion too. So I was high on him, though. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not gonna try to say I didn't go for him. I definitely thought that Michael Holland was gonna welcome Michael Venom Page in with a loss. But he didn't. He lost himself, and that's a damn shame, because I was definitely rooting for him, and I was hoping that, he would put on a better show, but he was stifled and frustrated by Michael Venom Page and the way that he fights. They're similar fighters in the respect that they both kind of they're both big, tall, lengthy fighters. They got long limbs. They're both very thin. Sticks for legs, but they know how to use their weapons and use them well. But man, Michael Venom Page just came out with something to prove, and that is something I said last week. I said if he comes out there wanting to make a splash for his debut and prove something, then he was gonna, it was definitely gonna be hard to handle. The thing is, though, it wasn't super impressive to the point where everyone's like, oh, we were wrong, the Bellator guy came over and got lucky, is what everybody's saying. Kevin Holland just didn't take him seriously enough, blah, blah, blah. Kevin Holland apologized and was like, yeah, he was talking before the fight about how he was, oh, what is he, just a Bellator guy? He doesn't know what it's like over here, and then he loses to him. And he's like, shit, sorry, guys, I lost to a Bellator guy. But that's Kevin Holland for you. That's the kind of guy he is. That's what he does, and I commend him for it. He's straightforward. He tells the truth, and he admits to his faults in when it comes to fighting. So that's what's good about Kevin Holland. but MVP landed a couple of these spinning back elbows. It was definitely the move of the night for him. He was trying, and they showed that in the warm-ups, he actually was practicing that over and over again with his coach. So he pulled it off for sure. This is one of probably the best one that he pulled off, but he actually landed a second one as well, either earlier or later in the fight, but he did keep trying. He tried about 4 or 5 times and he only landed a couple. But that's a dangerous strike, and if you're not ready for it, he's got those sharp elbows, so gotta watch out for that. Now I'm excited to see what MVP does. You know, I was excited to see him in the UFC anyway. I just thought that I wasn't sure how he was gonna be able to handle Kevin Holland, but he took care of business and he came out with the win, unanimous decision. Frustrated the hell out of Kevin Holland, and when that happens, if you follow Kevin Holland at all, you know he almost just gives up, and that's unfortunate. So that put him, gave him the loss on this one, and Michael Venom Page with his debut getting the win by unanimous decision. Now let's move on to what was for sure the fight of the night, co-main event, Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis. Fuck, I loved this fight. If you've seen my TikTok, you know I loved the outcome of this fight. Man, it was just fun. It was fun watching Dustin beat Dustin, especially after his last fight getting head kick KO'd by Justin Gaethje of all people. Like, damn. It was a nasty knockout, a nasty head kick. But, you know, he's a dog, and that's what he does. He gets in wars, and then he comes back, and he's just better. And that's what happened here. So, you know, everyone's talking about him being 35 years old now. That's when fighters start to show a decline in you know, their style and their game. But when it comes down to it, he didn't show any of that. He definitely took some damage like he always does. Benoit Saint-Denis is no joke. There's nothing, you know, I'm not trying to downplay his performance at all. But when it comes down to it, he just didn't have what it took to, you know, fight at the level that Dustin Poirier's at. Here's the KO. Bam. Short, just right hook. Right on the button for Dustin Poirier. Follows up with a flush punch to the chin on the ground. And DP gets that win by KO. That's a nasty punch right there. Turned the head of Benoit Saint-Denis. Second round, 2 minutes and 32 seconds in, and I was so fucking happy for Dustin. So happy for him. I don't even know why either. I just think he's a good dude. He does a lot of charity work, and what he stands for is just everything. Everything about him is good. He's got a great family, and he seems to be a really good family man, and I appreciate that. And, you know, he doesn't take no shit, and he doesn't act all stupid. He's just a straightforward dude, and a lot of the things he says always make a lot of sense. Everyone was talking up the post-fight interview in the cage with Joe Rogan, where Rogan walks in, and the first thing he tells him is, Dustin Poirier, you're the man. And Poirier just says, I'm just a man, Joe. And there's just some kind of humbleness to that just makes you love the guy. And why is my nose running? Weird. But yeah, there's just the humble portion of this man. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, just makes me fucking like the guy more. You know, and I honestly didn't like him that much back in the day. You know, when he first fought McGregor back in those days when he was fighting Holloway and stuff. Not Holloway, but when he fought McGregor, and then who was I thinking of? Anyway, I just didn't like really the way he acted back then, and he was younger and stuff. I guess maybe I just didn't understand where he was coming from. Maybe it was just me back then, but I just thought it was a little bit much, you know. And then he came out and lost to McGregor after all the shit he was talking, how hyped up and crazy he was getting. So something turned me off about him back then. But, you know, I continued to follow his career and see, you know, and it was just a neutral thing for me. It was just like, Dustin Poirier is a good fighter, and that's what I knew. But then, you know, as he's been coming up and getting better and better and stuff like that, you just see all this stuff coming out of him, and it just makes you like him so much more all the time. win or lose. I don't even care. I like Justin Gaethje a lot too, and when he lost to him, I was like, fuck, I'm sad, but I'm happy at the same time. Gaethje deserves it, but I hate to see Poirier go out like that, so it's just one of those things. But congrats to Poirier. That was a fantastic fucking win against a tough competitor, Benoit Saint Denis. Saint Denis has never had this level of competition before, and unfortunately for him, it didn't go well. So he's gonna have to, fight a couple fights, and then make it back up to that level and see what he can do. Get a little more experience under him, learn from this loss instead of just taking it as a loss. So yeah, he's gonna do big things still, and I'll be excited to see how he comes back from this. But for Dustin, I'm definitely excited to see where he goes from here. Whether it be another title run, I mean, he's in the midst of one maybe technically here, but we'll see how it all pans out. Let's get to that main event: Chitovera versus Suga Sean O'Malley, and Chito looking like the crazy homeless guy in the corner. But man, his hair, dude, I don't know, it was driving me crazy. I kept telling everybody on the watch party, I'm like, his hair is killing me, man. It makes every punch look worse, every strike, it makes him look frantic. His hair is just too much, and there's guys that have long hair, always have. But, his last fight with Suga, that he had a shaved head, and it was like bleach blonde. So, he goes through so many different looks and shit, but this one was tough because the hair just made everything look worse. But the thing is, Suga Sean O'Malley fought well, and he tagged him, and he hit him, and he busted him up. Chito's always in a war and always gets hit, and tends to always bleed as well. He's one of those guys because he'll fight hard no matter what, but that hair was just making it worse. But he did get beat the fuck up, and he took a lot of damage. Suga just looked strong. He looked on point. He just, the switch was all the way on, and he was all about it, and he was ready to come back and make. And Chito didn't take advantage of leg kicks at all. I feel like he landed a couple, but that was it. It feels like he woke up at the end of the fight instead of in the beginning, and after he took a lot of damage and got beat up. But these are just some of the things that happened. I mean, O'Malley was just landing all these. There's a lot of pictures here, which I double clicked, so unfortunately I have one in the background there. I'll turn it off real quick. There we go. But like this one, there's a lot of pictures like this from this night because he landed a lot of great strikes, a lot of clean strikes, and beat up Chito. And then busted him up, gets the blood, and he looked crisp. He looked ready for this fight for sure. He took some damage himself against Chito, but it wound up going to decision, and Suga Sean retained his title. Here's a big flying knee though that happened this was one of the big things that happened in the fight. That was a nasty knee. I mean, that one threw Chito back. It was flush. Rogan said it sounded like a bat hitting a watermelon. But yeah, such a nasty knee under the chin. Just, I mean, it's just a wonder how the fuck Chito stayed up during that. It's even Sugar said it at the end. Chito Vera is just a tough guy to fucking get out. Like, the dude won't go down. So, but yeah, like I said, Sugar gets the win in the end, retains the title, and still, and now he's vindicated. He's proved that he's a true champion, according to what everyone has always said, which is you're not a true champ until you defend at least once. And this is his, successful title defense. He won the belt against Aljamain Sterling, and then comes back and gets this redemption fight over Chito Vera that he's been, talking about forever, because people still, talk to him about it, because it is his only loss, whether he wants to claim it or not. So I need to stop talking about that, because I don't know, it just bugs me that he just won't admit that it was a loss. But it doesn't matter anymore, because he's the champ, and he just redeemed himself regardless of anything, and he's and he just defended his title, undisputed champion, Suga Sean O'Malley. Congrats. I like Suga Sean. Just some of the things he does bugs me a little bit sometimes, so that's the only reason why I get on that little rant. So, but that's it for UFC 299. It was a great night of fights. It was a fun watch party. Hopefully you got to watch it. If not, it's on YouTube. You can go back and see it. It's the episode before this, episode 88. Or you can listen to it anywhere that you get your podcast. I did put out the audio only version, so you can watch it and listen to it on Spotify as well, because the video gets put there. So that's another little tip. But it's better to watch here on YouTube because that helps me grow my channel. So if you want to listen audio only, go everywhere else. You want to watch it here on YouTube. But it is a cool feature on Spotify that I can upload it there as well. And I do. Even though it might take views away from my YouTube, I just like that it's, possible to have it there. So congrats to Sean O'Malley, still the bantamweight champion of the world, and we'll see when he gets to fight next. So let's move on to this week's event, UFC Vegas 88. Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. I always have trouble saying his name. Tybura. I don't know. I heard it said both ways, but it's just one of those ones that doesn't roll off the tongue easily. So Tai Tuivasa is a badass. Mr. Shoey himself, every time he wins, he does a shoey. So that's why I'm always rooting for him, because it's always fun to watch him do one. That's like a New Zealand, Australian thing, and whatever exactly it's from. But they get a shoe, they pour a whole beer in it, and if you really want to get down to it, most of the time they like hawk loogies and spit in it and shit, which is crazy. I know it's crazy enough to chug a beer out of someone's shoe that they just took off their foot, but it's even worse when they spit in it. And yeah, usually though on fight night, if he wins, he jumps on the cage, someone throws him a shoe and a beer, he pours it in the shoe and does the shoey. So that's why it's always fun to watch him win. And he's just one of my favorite fighters. Like I like him a lot. I tend to like these fighters that just don't all get to the top. I don't know what it is. Maybe they just appeal to me more. I don't know. But I like Tai Tuivasa a lot. So this is the main event for UFC Vegas 88 or UFC Fight Night 239. So, the different numbers things. I know I always talk about it, but yeah, let's see. This card is not as impressive, unfortunately. It is an Apex card, though. That's the thing with the numbers. So it's actually an Apex card, and they number them as such. So this is the 88th Apex card. That's why they call it Vegas, because they don't want to call it Apex. Blah, blah, blah. Anyway, early prelims. Not a ton going on down here. I'm not even gonna try to say that guy's name because holy shit. But there's a bantamweight fight at the bottom, a men's bantamweight fight. Women's strawweight division, second fight of the night. Jacqueline Amorim versus Corey McKenna. Corey McKenna is damn good, but Jacqueline's on a decent roll right now. I think she won her last fight by submission, if I remember correctly. Nope, that was TKO. Dumbass. Okay, so before that, she was on a huge win streak. She's only got one loss in MMA, and was her UFC debut. But she looked really good in her last fight against Montserrat Ruiz. It was a TKO in the third round. And then Corey McKenna, like I said, she's a beast. She's a good up-and-comer, 8-2 overall, and she is on a 2-fight win streak. She's 3-1 overall in UFC. So this should be a good fight. And for those of you that like that type of thing, because I haven't done it in a while, but oh no, she doesn't have one. No OnlyFans for her. But if you go to Jacqueline Amorim's Instagram, you won't be disappointed. Moving on to men's featherweight, Joshua Kulibiao versus Danny Silva. Lightweight, Thiago Moises versus Mitch Ramirez. In the flyweight division, we got Rafael Filio versus Ode Osborne. And then women's bantamweight, Joanne Nunez versus Chelsea Chandler. Chelsea Chandler's the one that a while back, last year sometime, I'll never forget it. She was she was memed because she turned her back to her opponent and just ran for the other side of the cage. And all you see, there's a still frame picture of her like legit sprinting, like looking mid-stride, and the girl behind her looking like a serial killer running after her. Fucking hilarious. The video's funny. So Chelsea Chandler running away in Octagon. Google it. Go watch the video. It's fucking funny. Anyway, that's a bantamweight fight in the women's division. And then let's see, the last fight of the night, Natan Levy versus Mike Davis in the lightweight division. And that rounds out the prelim cards. So let's get to the main event. Or I'm sorry, the main card. I always say main event. It's the fucking main card. The main event is the last fight of the night. Yeah, I know. GM3, Gerald Meerschaert versus Brian Bam Bam Barberena. There's two Bam Bams on this card because Tai Tuivasa's nickname is Bam Bam too. It's fucking weird. I don't know what's going on here. But Brian Barberena is 34 years old, 18-11 overall, but he's 9-9 in the UFC, so that's kind of tough. But I mean, he's always in a fucking fun fight. He's on a 3-fight losing streak though, so that's tough too. Let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Yeah, I have that right. I was worried I got the losses wrong. I mean, he's got an even 500 record in the UFC against Gerald Meerschaert, who's a beast. He's 36 years old, 35-17 overall, 10-9 in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight losing streak as well, though, so that makes this interesting, you know, because when everyone's on a 3-fight losing streak and you know you lose 3 in a row in the UFC, it's never a good thing. I say it over and over again. Now, both these guys have probably done enough in the UFC. This is why they're on their 4th fight after losing 3 in a row. But the UFC obviously sees something. Ooh, fuck, that was a stiff sip there of that drink. Holy shit. I guess that settled a little bit. I didn't think I made it that strong. Anyway, Gerald Meerschaert. Yeah, they're both coming off 3-fight losing streaks. Let's see. Nope, I was wrong. I'm dumb. Meerschaert's only on a 2-fight losing streak. Hey, it doesn't make it that much different, though. I mean, Barberena, that means he's going to be a little more desperate, but nobody wants to lose 3 in a row. Meerschaert lost to Joe Pyfer and Andre Petrosky, so, I mean, it's not like it's the worst losses in a row. Joe Pyfer's been on a roll, you know, until his last fight, but he lost to him by TKO. And then it was a split decision, so it was definitely a close fight against Petrosky back in August of last year. And Barberena, his 3 losses, Mahmoud Muradov, Gunnar Nelson, and Rafael dos Anjos. So you have one former champion. Gunnar Nelson is a beast. And then Mahmoud Muradov, I don't know much about him, but 2 submissions and then a decision for Barberena in those 3 losses. His last win was against Robbie Lawler, which that sucks, but because I like Robbie. But anyway, yeah. So Gerald Meerschaert is just looking to not put a 3rd loss on his record, because 3 in a row is never good. And let's see, he doesn't have a real. It's like he loses by anything and wins by anything. Submission, a lot of submission wins, I will say, though. So maybe he's looking to put Barberena on the ground and submit him because, you know, as good as Barberena is on his feet, he does sustain a lot of damage all the time. And he does have a lot of submission losses, including 2 out of his last 3 losses have been by submission. So this is a good thing for Gerald Meerschaert to try to take advantage of and, you know, keep himself out of getting 3 losses in a row. And if he can stay away from those lethal hands of Brian Barberena, he can secure a win by decision, or at least by submission, or at least decision. Just fighting the proper way against Bryan Barberena, which he seems to have a weakness on the ground. So there's that fight. Let's go to the next fight of the night. Is Pannie Kianzad versus Macy Chiasson. This is in the bantamweight division. We got Pannie Kianzad, 32 years old, 16-7 overall, 5-4 in the UFC. She's coming off a loss, as well as Macy Chiasson is coming off a loss as well. 32 years old, 8-3 overall, 6-3 in the UFC. Yeah, let's check out who Kianzad lost to. Kedlin Vieira. So, I mean, that's no joke. And that was a unanimous decision loss. Holy shit. Every single one of her fights dating back to 2018 is a unanimous decision, whether it be a win or a loss. So it's safe to say she takes fights to decision. So there's no finishes there, which could also mean very boring. I've seen a couple of her fights. She's not bad. But yeah, a lot of decisions. That's crazy. 13-4 overall in decisions. So as you can tell, a lot of her fights go to decision. 13 out of her 16 wins. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Macy Chiasson is she's a Ultimate Fighter winner. She's coming off a loss to Irene Aldana. So that's no joke either as far as competition goes. But that was a KO up kick to the body. So that's right. Irene Aldana kicked her in the liver, and it was a weird thing. You know, Aldana's up kick caught her in the liver, buckled her, and she finished her there. So yeah, I mean, she has a lot of decisions on her record as well, but way more TKOs and KOs mixed in there, as well as a submission here and there too. She has a submission loss, but she has 2 submission wins. So Pannie doesn't have any submission wins. So maybe that's the point of difference in this fight. Again, kind of like Meerschaert versus Barberena. So yeah, I mean, I'm going off talking about these, and I have pictures, but Pannie's got good striking. But again, just decisions all the way around for Pannie Kianzad. And Macy Chiasson is well-rounded overall. Ultimate Fighter winner in the past. Big head kick here, but then again, she's had her fair share of losses as well. Both coming off a loss, looking to get back in the win column. That's it for the women's bantamweight division. Moving on to the men's featherweight division. Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dolgarian. Christian Rodriguez has, he's looking like a good up-and-comer, but he's been having issues with his weight, I guess. At least that's what I heard. He's 10-1 overall, 26 years old, 3-1 in the UFC. And he's on a 3-fight win streak. So, I mean, he lost his debut, and then he's won every fight since, basically. Isaac Dolgarian, 6-0 overall, coming off a win. He's only had 1 fight in the UFC. Let's check out Christian Rodriguez. Let's see. His last 3 wins. Joshua Weems, Raul Rosas Jr., and Cameron Simon. So not bad. I mean, Rosas obviously just had a lot of hype around him for his age and how well he looked in his first couple fights. But this was, I think, his first loss was against C-Rod. And then, Joshua Weems and Cameron Simon are nothing to joke about. So those are good wins for him. But 2 out of the 3 are decision wins. And then the win against Weems was a submission. He had a loss before that by decision as well. So it's basically decisions and submissions in the recent past. So that's how C-Rod, how his record goes. Isaac Dolgarian, 6-0, like I said, undefeated. 1-0 in the UFC. That win was against Francis Marshall back in August. He has a lot of TKO. Everything on his record is either a TKO, a KO, or a submission. So all finishes for his entire career, 6-0 with finishes all the way around. So this could be exciting. Rodriguez has to show, show something out there that can I totally lost the train of thought. He's definitely got to show something out there that's going to defend against, everything that Dulgarian has to offer, because he finishes fights and Rodriguez has been a little back and forth with all of it. So, but Rodriguez has looked good in the past, and, he's 10-1. He only has one loss in his record. So this should be a pretty decent fight for the, let's see, what is that? The third fight of the night. Moving on to the fourth fight. Ovince St. Preux versus Kennedy Nzechukwu. Ovince St. Preux, he's fought for the title before, but he didn't look good against Jon Jones at all. Before that, he looked like a beast. That's what earned him that title shot. But I mean, he's 40 years old now, and that's tough in fighting. 26-17 overall in MMA and 14-12 in the UFC. That's, oh my God, that's a tough fucking record. So, yeah. And he's coming off a loss. Kennedy Nzechukwu, 31 years old, 12-4 overall, 6-4 in the UFC. Coming off a loss as well, like I said. Let's check out Ovince St. Preux. OSP is a fucking gigantic dude. You would think he wouldn't be able to kick somebody in the head like this, but he's definitely done it plenty of times, and it's very impressive when he does. The only problem is he's getting older. And he hasn't looked that good in his last fights. He lost his last fight against Felipe Lins in February of last year. That was a KO by punches in the first round, so that was over quick. He had a win over Shogun Rua by split decision, though, and that was in May of 2022. Before that, he lost 2 in a row. Tanner Boser, Jamal Hill. I mean, he's fought a lot of big names. Alonzo Menefield, Ben Rothwell, Michael Oleksiejczuk, Nikita Krylov, Dominic Reyes, Tyson Pedro, Ilir Latifi. Everybody he's fought is a fucking name. So, I mean, you can't down on the guy too much. But, and he's got big, heavy strikes, and he's a big guy, but he's a bit older now, and he hasn't looked that impressive in his last few fights, and that's what makes this one tough. Kennedy Nzechukwu, a little younger, coming off a loss, though, to Dustin Jacoby, TKO by punches in the first round. Before that, he was on a 3-fight win streak with wins over Devin Clark, Ian Cutelaba, and Carl Roberson. Those were all TKO wins, except for one was a guillotine. So I mean, he can do both. He can submit. He can fight on his feet. Got a few decisions in there, but not a lot. So he's always looking for the finish for sure. And with Ovince St. Preux in the fashion that I've seen him in the near, past, I just don't know that I have a lot of confidence in him. I feel like Kennedy's gonna come out with a win here, probably like, TKO or KO in early second round, more than likely. That's just my guess. And I will go over all my picks at the end. But let's move on to the co-main. Brian Battle versus Ange Loosa. I think that's how you say his name. Brian Battle, Ultimate Fighter winner as well. I think a few years ago, actually. But he's 29 years old, 10-2 overall, and 5-1 in the UFC. And he's got a pretty good game overall, mixes it up. He's on a 2-fight win streak. Ange Loosa, 30 years old, 10-3 overall, 2-1 in the UFC, and he's also on a 2-fight win streak. So this should be interesting. Loosa looks like a fucking beast. I mean, he's fucking ripped. It's insane. And him against Brian Battle, it's like one world to the other. I don't know, it's crazy. But Battle's a dog, man. He's a damn good fighter. He's aggressive, and he comes out there to win every time. Let's see, he's on a 2-fight win streak against Gabriel Green and AJ Fletcher. Two very exciting wins. That KO against Gabriel Green was fantastic, and then the submission was nice as well against AJ Fletcher, who's a tough opponent. His only loss in the UFC is to Renat Fakhretdinov. He is, like I said, an Ultimate Fighter winner. And yeah, just he's a beast. And I mean, look at this punch on the chin. That's is that the Gabriel Green? Yeah, I think it is. But that was 14 seconds into the first round. So, you know, he's a beast, and he's out here trying to prove himself. So with this fight against Angelosa, who is a beast as well. I mean, this dude is just physically impressive. That's all I can really say about him. It's hard to not notice how he's just big. It doesn't even look like he weighs 185, 170. I mean, talk about lean. It's crazy. But he's on a 2-fight win streak, like I said, both by unanimous decision though, against Rise McKee and AJ Fletcher, which is this fight. His last loss. I mean, all of his fights are by decision, all of them. You have to go all the way back to ICFC in October of 2016 to get a TKO. That's crazy. So it's like all unanimous decision wins except for a couple were by split decision. So, I mean, Jack Della Maddalena beat him in Dana White's Contender Series. So, I don't know, man. Decision, we're talking Brian Battle's coming out there to finish him. So, I mean, I got to go with Brian Battle in this one because as big as this dude is, I'm not seeing it. You know, decision wins left and right. He's on a 2-fight win streak though, so who knows? Battle's lost before, so he could lose again. Let's move on to the main event. Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura. This should be an exciting fight. It could end quick, and if it doesn't end quick, then it might turn into a not so exciting fight. Because if Tybura drags him into deep waters and takes it to, you know, the later rounds, it might be tough for Tai Tuivasa. He never fares well when he gets deeper into the fight. He's usually better in the beginning, the first half of the fight, and with it being 5 rounds, it's going to be tough. But Tai Tuivasa is 30 years old, 14-6 overall, 8-6 in UFC. Not a great record, but he's a fun and exciting fighter. Overall, 13-3 in KO TKOs. He has 1 submission loss, hasn't won by submission at all. 1-1 in decisions, and unfortunately, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. So that's another reason why I'm rooting for him here, because I do not need him to get cut. So let's go, Ty. We need to see a shoey. It's been a minute, but he's fighting Marcin Tybura, who is a tough opponent. 38 years old, 24-8 overall, 13-7 in the UFC. 9-5 in KO TKOs, 6-0 in subs, 9-3 in decisions, and he's also coming off a loss. So, you know, Ty is just a beast, and he's got heavy hands, good striking. If he gets a hold of you, you better hope that you don't go out after that first punch if he lands flush, because he's a big dude and he's got a lot of power. And I mean, he does wing punches a lot, but really it's fun to watch, and that's why I can't down on it too much. But his last 3 losses were against big names. Now, you know, Cyril Gane, Sergey Pavlovich, and Alexander Volkov. Now, the Pavlovich and Volkov losses were tough. That was a KO in the first round by Pavlovich, submission in the second round by Volkov. And then the Cyril Gane was a KO loss as well, but that was in the third round, and this was after he dropped Cyril Gane, which nobody saw coming. Nobody thought he could do. I just wish he could have taken advantage and been able to capitalize on it, but he did drop him, and it was pretty damn impressive. He's beat people like Derek Lewis, Augusto Sakai, Greg Hardy, Stefan Struve. So I mean, he's fought a lot of big names, wins and losses. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to I'm just looking forward to watching him fight again. What did I do here? I'm stacking stuff on stuff. Oh, I see what I did. Damn it. Yeah, I fully fucked up, but that's all right. There's a big overhand there. Like I said, he'll wing punches, but it's fun to watch. And I mean, it's hard to You know, especially when he beat somebody like Greg Hardy. Like, come on, that's too good. And I mean, to beat a beast like Derek Lewis as well, fuck. It's just he's got to sharpen his skills in other aspects of fighting, or at least get the defense down. So, but that's a big punch against Derek Lewis there. That was at KO in the second round over him. But his opponent, Marcin Tybura, he's a beast. He definitely has wrestling and grappling that he can lean on. So that's gonna make it tough for Ty. I mean, he's not big on that, but I think he's a little more skilled in that aspect. He's coming off a TKO loss to the current interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, and that was a first round TKO to him back in July of last year. Let's see, before that he had a win over Blagoy Ivanov and Alexander Romanov. 2 decisions though there. So I mean, that's kind of tough. Look at this big punch against Ben Rothwell. That's crazy. He's lost to Alexander Volkov though. I mean, a lot of decisions here. But I mean, his wins are TKO, KO. So forget what I said about submissions, because I'm not sure he's getting those. It's been a long time since he's gotten one. But that might be the way to go with Tai Tuivasa if he can get him down. Either which way, I'm hoping that Tai can weather the storm, or maybe get the jump and end this quickly for the main event of UFC Vegas 88. And if he does win, then we might be able to see the infamous shoey from Tai Tuivasa. This is what I was explaining earlier. You see the crush can in the right hand, and he's taking that drink out of the shoe. If this was a watch party, I might say I would do a shoey live. Maybe the next time he's on a pay-per-view and I have a watch party, we'll do it if he wins. Till then, just keep winning, Ty. Here's my picks for the night. I'm not betting this week. I lost my ass last week again. Even though I felt good about it, I lost. So we'll see what happens here. Oh man, my nose is just bugging the crap out of me. Okay, so I'm going with Tai Tuivasa. He's a -118 favorite in the main event. Brian Battle, -180 favorite in the co-main. Kennedy and Nzechukwu, a big favorite over OSP, -550, but that's my pick. Christian Rodriguez, underdog, +164 in his fight against who the hell was he fighting? I forgot already. Isaac Dolgarian, who's undefeated, so that might be why he's an underdog. Panny Kianzad, +200 underdog as well, versus Macy Chiasson, former tough champion and overall tough fighter as well. So I mean, Panny is an underdog, but I feel like she might have what it takes to at least compete with Macy Chiasson. So I'm taking her as my second dog. And then Gerald Meerschaert, GM3, -238 favorite in his fight against Brian Barberena. So those are my picks. Don't blame me if you lose. I've been losing. But the last time I did not bet, I got every single pick on the main card correct. So we'll see if I do that again. That might be the trick. Just don't bet. Just pick them. You'll look good by picking them right all the time, because as soon as I throw money down, I fucking lose. So, but yeah, that's it. UFC Vegas 88. Don't forget, Saturday night. That's the biggest and probably really the only thing going on this weekend. So enjoy those fights. You know, sometimes on these cards where it doesn't look like it's the best, you get some of the best fights. So, you know, it's always worth the shot to go check it out. I know I'm going to be watching, you know, if I'm not busy, and if I am, I'll go back and watch it later. But I'll definitely be looking out for those highlights on social media. And if you want to check those out, don't forget to follow me everywhere. Going Rounds Podcast, except for X, it's Going Rounds Pod. Like, subscribe, share with a friend, do all that good stuff here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Thanks for anybody that's still in here watching. I appreciate all the support always. And if you get tired of me saying thank you all the time, I'm sorry. But I just like to tell everybody thank you, because I do appreciate it. I'm surprised at the amount of people that watch me now. It's not much, but I'm surprised that I even get that much. So I have to appreciate everybody's support. And if you want to help me grow the channel, do everything I said before. Do all the good, fun YouTube stuff. Until next time, I'm out. Enjoy the fights this weekend. And have a good one. Take it easy. Peace.